and the joys that are gone, but I never will forget the sweet maiden I met in the valley by Slave and Avon. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A little more volume. We're good? Excellent. Well, I'm Annie Sullivan, Helen Keller's teacher, and I'm so happy to see all of you here today at this wonderful event. Thank you for coming all across the country to be here. Now, being a teacher, I have a few things to say. Forgive me that, but I was her teacher. And I think that we all have a teacher from somewhere in our mind, a movie that lingers in our minds. Some teachers seem celestial beings with warm, redolent voices. And other teachers, they come from a dark realm, but in the end, they illumine our way. Now, if I were a teacher in these times, being that I was such a spitfire, I tell you, I would be chastised, not flooded. Do you know that they called me Miss Spitfire all the way back to Tewksbury, the almshouse I was sent to at the age of 10 with me brother Jimmy? You see, my mother had died when I was 8, and my father, he liked to drink, and his drink mates too much. So for all intents and purposes, we were orphans. And me being so spirited, and having those trouble with my eyes, and Jimmy being so sickly, well, in the end, the kinfolk found little room in their hearts, and no room in their homes either. I never told Helen, though, about Tewksbury and such until she was much older. You see, Jimmy had died there in the bed beside me just a short time after we got there. Now, let me tell you, Tewksbury, it's what they call an almshouse or an asylum. And in the evening one night, this Black Maria came and they put me and my brother in this thing. And they said, "Oh, you're going on a holiday or something." Well, we go up the hill and there's this place where they put everybody there together, prostitutes and paupers and immigrants and all sorts of mentally ill people, and we're going to go live there. And well, when we got there, they wanted to separate me from my brother. But I was a banshee where my brother was concerned. And I carried on so that they relented and they let me wee brother stay by my side. It gives me some comfort that he took his last breath there. He was my heart and my charge, and life without him, well, it was life without a dream. Anyways, I tried to protect Helen from this part of my story, but I have to tell you a few more things. You know now who I am, and if you don't, in a way, that's all right, because I was only her teacher. But seeing as I'm here running my mouth, I want to be clear on a few details, all right? Tell you a bit about myself. I was born on April the 14th, 1866. I was known to nobody. In fact, I was a nobody until I became Helen Keller's teacher. As a matter of fact, that's the only thing I ever did of any import. But I'm not here just to tell you that. I want to talk about the day that she and I met. And I probably have to tell you too, I would never have escaped that snake pit had I not been so bold about to beg a bunch of visiting dignitaries that were cavorting through the place. I had heard tell of their affiliation with the Perkins School for the Blind. And it was one of the first schools in the United States of America that took blind ladies, young ladies in and taught them how to read with their fingers and speak Braille. I couldn't even write my name, you know, and couldn't read a single word. But I had heard of their affiliation with the Perkins School for the Blind. And they were there checking on the conditions at Tewksbury. So I sort of skulked around behind them. And at an opportune moment, I threw myself in their midst and I said, "Help me, I'm blind, I can't see." And I was, really. I couldn't see much, but they took pity on me and they sent me to the Perkins School for the Blind. Anyways, once I got there, there's another whole story to tell, but I often wondered if they sent me there because I was such a spitfire that they wanted to get rid of me at the Tewksbury. But I'm not here today. I am not here this day to tell you my story, nor in particular to tell you about my beloved charge, Helen. Were Helen here today, she would tell you an altogether different story. But I'm here today because I want to talk to you about the day that we met. The day that Helen said was her soul's birthday. March the 3rd, 1887. She said was her soul's birthday. And I've been reflecting on that a bit here today at this event with the Lions and the leader dogs. And thinking how there's a day in the life where the life changes. And I was thinking about what it must be like when you get your dog and you join with that creature. And thinking about the people here and all the work that they're doing on behalf of souls so that they should have this opportunity. Something like what Helen had with me. She credited me greatly, telling me it was her soul's birthday. And we did have a wonderful life, thanks to the many kindnesses of many people. But today, I just want to think about you a bit more, Lions. I want to honor the work that you all are doing on behalf of the visually impaired. You have taken Helen's charge to heart. You have answered her challenge to be Knights of the Blind. You have demonstrated how one person working on behalf of others can make the world a better place. So I guess you sort of understand this idea she had of a soul's birthday. Well, I understood even before I took that infernal train ride from Massachusetts down to Alabama, I understood that locked inside was the wee lass herself. I think really we all have some sort of prison. Perhaps we're trapped by a creed or someone else's expectations of us, shackled to conditions. And we all need that person, that someone to help us unfurl that door so that we can become ourselves at our best. So I didn't take much pity on her, but I have to tell you a few things about her. I just want you to understand this miracle of how she came to speak with her fingers and signing and all that. It was quite the thing. Just like all those folks who came to see us when we did vaudeville. Did you know that we did vaudeville? Well, Helen had all sorts of schemes up her sleeves about how we should address our financial woes. We always had financial troubles, so she decided, as a way to pay our bills, that we would go on the circuit through the United States of America. So we would take these trains about the country, and on the marquee, there would be flashing the lights talking about how she was going to appear, and people would queue up all around the building. And I'd be on stage with her, and the lights would be shining down. I'd be spelling into her sweet, soft palm. Wow. And then from some force within, she found voice. Water. It was a miracle. I must tell you though, my great regret is that I pushed too hard in that realm. The doctors later said that she lost her voice due to improper technique. She always, though, gave me too much credit. I told her that even when she was writing that book about me. The original Burn in the Fire, and if you ask me, that was providential. I didn't like her chatting me up. But I suppose if you understand me, her teacher, you come to know her a little better, I think. So I want to tell you just a few things about myself. Once I got to the Perkins School, well, that's quite the story. Before I was her teacher, before I was rechristened, I was just Annie, the pauper, who's all of a sudden at the Perkins School for the Blind. Now, the Perkins School for the Blind had at the school this wonderful young lady, the first woman in the United States of America to learn to speak with her fingers and read Braille, and her name was Laura Bridgman. It was quite the phenomenon. It was all in the papers and such. Well, anyways, when I got there as a student, I got to be with Laura Bridgman. And I was so intrigued by her. And I was such a chatter too, you know, that I'd sit down by her, and that's how I learned to speak with my fingers, and then they also taught me how to read Braille. And at the park and school, I met the most wonderful people, a Mr. Anaganas, who was the headmaster of the school, and then I also met Mrs. Sophia Hopkins, who was my soul's godmother. She had a big job to her do, I tell you. It was her job to laidify me, and that was no easy feat, I tell you. Well, anyways, once I made my way at the park and school, I'm supposed to find my way out in the world. Well, they tried me, sent me out, and they said, well, you'd be great to be a little house mistress and help around the house like a maid. So they sent me out to this house, and I'm supposed to be a maid. Now, I told you already about the troubles with my eyes. And I told you already about that I was a Spitfire. So first of all, I didn't bow so well. And I suppose I'll let you imagine what happened to those starch collars. It was something. Well, anyways, the way I came to be Helen's teacher is that her mother chastised her father, who was a newspaper publisher, and she had read the works of Charles Dickens, the American Travels, and had heard about the Perkins School and heard about what was going on up there. And she said to her husband, I want you to find a teacher for our daughter. Well, Mr. Keller, being a dutiful husband or a smart husband or whatever, made it his business to seek out the Perkins School and wrote and came to meet all the people there. And that's how I came to be procured as Helen's teacher. But I want you to think about this, the times. This is just after the Civil War. And I am from the East Coast, and she's down in Alabama at Ivy Green. And there I am, and I'm supposed to get on this train to go down there where the rebels were. And I have to tell you, I was terrified, because we had all sorts of ideas in our mind of what those rebels were like, you know. But I have to tell you the truth. The greater terror was Helen herself. You'd never seen anything like this in your life. Oh my gosh. Well, if I was Miss Spitfire, well, she was Miss Volcano. She was fierce, explosive. She was rolling over everything in her midst. And if she said the day that we met, if she said that that was the day of her soul's birthday, well, it was a breech birth at that. I've never seen anything like that. So my first work is to unfurl language on her. Well, before I could unfurl language on her, I had to teach her to settle down a bit. And that's why I bring up this question of who's that person? Who's inside? I didn't say just be this, just do this. I had to come to understand my charge and her nature. And she had quite a nature to her. She was fierce and passionate. And I tell you, once the door to language was open, she never ceased speaking on behalf of others. Anyways, you know about her. And you know how fierce she was. And how she was ceaseless and how she spoke on behalf of others. You do know that she gave the keynote speech in Sandusky, Ohio in 1925 to a group of lions, right? You know this story. And do you know I was there with her? I was right there with her. And I'd be signing to her, and she'd be signing to me. And she has, as always, had plenty to say. But let me tell you what she had to say. Well, maybe I better let her speak for herself today. Dear Lions, I suppose you have heard the poetic legend which represents opportunity as a capricious lady who passes by your door but once, and if that door isn't opened quickly, she passes on, never to return again. And that is how it should be. Lovely, desirable ladies will not wait. You have to go out and grab them. I am your opportunity, clothed in visibility. I am knocking at your door. I want to be adopted. The legend doesn't say what you are to do when several desirable ladies present themselves at the same door. I suppose you must choose the one you love the best. I am the youngest, and the opportunity I offer you is full of splendid occasion for service. The American Foundation for the Blind is 82 years old. It grew out of the imperative needs of the blind and was brought into being by the sightless themselves. It is national and international in scope. It represents the best and the most enlightened thought which has been brought to our problem so far. It embodies a new thought, a new idea, which is both scientific and modern. It will offer impartial assistance to all classes of the blind. It will make the efforts of local organizations more effective and more fruitful in result. The time has come to regard the work for the sightless as a whole, in which the kindergarten, the school, the library, the home for the aged, and prevention are seen as one great movement with one end in view, namely making life more worth living for the blind everywhere. Besides the young blind, for whom existing institutions are supposed to provide, there is a large class of men and women who lose their sight when it is too late to go to school. Imagine if you lost your sight tomorrow, you would be another Samson, helpless, bound, dependent, until a way is found to unchain you. Picture yourself groping and stumbling at midday as if in the night. Picture yourself in that dark hour. Wouldn't your heart cry out for a friend to show you the way? You have heard how I was taught, how a little word from the fingers of another, a ray of light from another soul, illumined the darkness of my mind. It is because my teacher cared about me that I found myself, found my work, and found God. If you care, if we can make the people
kindness. This is the opportunity I offer you, lions, to foster and sponsor the work of Leader Dog. Will you not help me to hasten the day when there shall be no deaf, blind child untaught, no deaf, blind man or woman unaided? I appeal to you, lions, you who have your sight, you who have your vision, you who are kind and brave and strong. Will you not constitute yourselves knights of the blind and assist me in my crusade against darkness? I thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.